The Last of Us Season 2 has been a disaster, and the biggest reason for this is Ellie. Not a single person likes her, which is a huge problem, considering she's supposed to be the main character. Now, it would be too easy to blame all this on the awful casting that Bella Ramsey was, but this is not the whole story. Instead, let's go a bit deeper to see why everyone hates this version of Ellie so much. Now, just like saying the casting was very bad, I have seen people complain about her being too different from the games. You might not agree with this, but changing from one adaptation to another is not actually a bad thing overall. After all, this is supposed to be its own media, and keeping everything the same would be boring. So, as tempting as it would be to make comparisons to the games, I won't, and I will treat the show like the games don't exist, to be more objective on the actual character of Ellie that we see on screen here. Which leads us to the first point. Who is HBO's Ellie? There are three main qualities this Ellie shows throughout this season that make her unbearable to watch for about 80% of the time she's on screen. Starting with the biggest, she is too damn childish. Tell me why Ellie is less mature here than in the previous season where she was, actually a child. If you are not aware, Ellie in this season is supposed to be 19 years old. For context, 19-year-olds in the UK are in university. Meanwhile, this is how we see her act. And please keep in mind, she has grown up in a zombie apocalypse.
I'm gonna be a dad.
Which leads to her second undesirable quality. She is just incompetent. Despite being in survival mode her entire life, Ellie needs to be reminded to wear boots, to bring medical supplies, to not rush into a group of 6 armed guys by herself, not to mention the sheer amount of noise she makes despite her biggest threat to her being creatures that focus on sound. The list goes on. Sure, she can use a gun, flip a grown man when play fighting, something she doesn't do ever again in the show, by the way, but she acts like a Fortnite kid, and not someone who has been trained to survive for 19 years of her life. By the way, have a guess how many things Ellie actually kills this season in the comments, and I'll let you know at the end. Yes, the reason they did this was to create a 2-man team with her and Dina, but Ellie cannot be the brawn to Dina's brain when she is 5 foot and 40 kilograms wet. If you logically think about it, Ellie should be able to survive in the wild by herself after everything she's been through. But the way that they write her here, she wouldn't even make it 2 days. And do not get me wrong, childish or incompetent characters can work. But here is where we get into a problem. What is Ellie's motivation this season? The show tries to tell you that it is revenge, but the things she does and the way she acts do not reflect that. I mean, I can go weeks without smiling when my football team bottles the league. But here we have Ellie, whose most important person got slaughtered right in front of her, and she's making jokes, doing the devil's tango, and playing the guitar. God, she plays her guitar a lot this season. No urgency, no anger, no agency. There is just such a dissonance. I mean, the first time she actively chooses revenge over something else is in the last episode. And to make matters worse, she then cries after killing the people who helped kill her dad. Like, what? Was this not your whole goal? The reason this triggers so many people is because it feels like the show is straight up gaslighting us into thinking that this is what someone in her shoes would do, and this completely takes you out of the viewing experience because you are constantly confused by what she does. Whilst on the subject of the action she takes in this show, because she was written to be stupid, she gets into so many situations where the only way to her surviving is through plot armor. Tell me why the clicker couldn't bite her hand off. Tell me how not a single person here managed to shoot her. Tell me how and why they just left her here. You get the point. So all this leaves us with a main character that makes stupid decisions, acts out of place for the universe that they are in, going on a mission that they do not show that they truly care about, getting saved from ridiculous circumstances. What's not to like? And as promised, she kills 5 things on screen this whole season. A big difference to how she is in the games.